If Mitt Romney really believes
corporations are people, my friend,
then Mitt Romney is a serial killer. He's Mitt the Ripper.
That ad attacking Mitt Romney is actually airing in South Carolina, paid for by a super PAC founded by Stephen Colbert. It seems outlandish and over the top, and it is, just as he is sometimes, but it's also airing, apparently to prove a point, as he often does. And you may fairly ask at this point why the host of a show on Comedy Central is part of the debate over campaign spending. Stephen Colbert formed his own super PAC last July, and then last week he took the joke a step further, announcing a faux presidential run and transferring control of his PAC to Jon Stewart as if to pass the baton. But a few days before that event, Ted Koppel made Colbert's office a stop on his itinerary while reporting on super PACs.
What is the difference, Stephen, between a PAC and a super PAC?
Well, it gets technical, but without going into too much detail, one of them has the word super in front of it, and that makes it a super PAC. Other than that, as far as I can tell, the difference between a PAC and a super PAC is a cover letter, because I formed a PAC, but a PAC can only take so much money and can only spend so much money. And I wanted to spend unlimited amounts of money and receive, more importantly, unlimited amounts of money. And so my lawyer told me all I had to do was add a cover letter that said, I intend this to be a super PAC. And it was a super PAC.
So now you can take all the money that people are unwise enough to send you.
Any amount. Did you bring a checkbook?
Of course. How much money have you collected so far?
Oh, the fun thing about that is I don't have to tell you.
Well, you have to tell me who sends it to you.
No, not for a while.
Well, eventually.
Eventually I do, but until then, my major donor is none of your damn business.
But every three months.
It's every 3 months once you start reporting. But I actually formed this back in July, and I still haven't reported yet.
And what can happen to you?
What? I could go to FEC jail.
But they don't send people to jail.
Well, then I guess nothing will happen to me.
Well, they can fine you.
They can fine me, but they have to actually rule that I did something wrong. And the FEC is a 3-3 organization, and they're far more likely to come to a tie, in which case they say we haven't come. In which case they say we don't know whether you've done anything wrong, in which case I can keep doing what I want.
So
the system works, is what I'm saying.
It's a classic Washington bureaucracy.
It's democracy, I think is the word you're looking for.
You know what's rather astonishing, Stephen, is that a slew of other corporations, people, have not gone before the FEC and said, hey, that Colbert seems to be raking in boodles of cash. I want to try that.
They don't have to. The rulings come down. My ruling applies to all corporations and all media. You, Ted Koppel. Why doesn't Ted Koppel have a super PAC? Because it's legal for you, even though you work for NBC, Universal, Comcast, Jiffy Lube. It is legal for you to have a super PAC and talk about it on the air, and the FEC won't do anything about it.
And I could get lots of contributions?
You could. You could finally have a voice in America. Don't you want your voice to be heard, Ted Koppel?
I feel like such a fool.
With his newfound voice, Ted Koppel joining us here in the studio tonight. First of all, what's he up to?
It's funny until you think about it. The fact of the matter is Stephen Colbert has proved by going before the Federal Election Commission, by becoming a super PAC, by now handing the super PAC over to his buddy Jon Stewart so that he can go and run to be president of South Carolina. He is proving how ridiculous this system has become. And the sad thing, Brian, is that every one of those Republican candidates that I talked to said they wished that the super PAC thing would go away. Newt Gingrich said he feels that 80% of the poison would be drained out of our political system if it weren't for these super PACs. But we're stuck with them until the Supreme Court reverses its ruling, and if that's ever going to happen, it'll be years away.
Well, I talked to a smart person in politics yesterday who said the Supreme Court will never reverse its own standing law. Americans of good conscience have to hope for a constitutional amendment on this, and in the short term, at least publicize and disclose who's giving these incredible amounts.
Well, they do, and they will, but the next disclosures come on the day of the Florida primary, by which time this thing will effectively be over. The worst thing, Brian, is that as bad as it is now during these primaries, we haven't begun to see how bad it's going to be in a general election. The Democrats haven't even started yet.
Well, that's right.
And they're going to have just as much money, they're going to be just as nasty, and it's going to be disgusting.
And the president at first was against these as well, but as Newt Gingrich pointed out, it's the rules of the game.
That's the rules of the game.
And so for good-hearted people who are fearful that our election process has been changed and damaged forever, is there anything to hope?
I think in the final analysis, the American public, I suppose, could do something about it if they became disgusted enough by the tenor of these ads and showed it and just refused to go along with it. But, you know, I like to believe in the Easter Bunny, too.
And Jiffy Lube. Ted Koppel, thank you, as always, for stopping by. Thanks for your reporting.